great pleasure today to welcome to Eloquently Hare, who's the CEO of Cancer Campaign in Suffolk, a charity helping people through their journey with cancer. Karen tells me that 1 in 2 of us will experience cancer in our lifetime. Karen, welcome. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. I'd love to understand a little bit more about the journey that you take people on when they're diagnosed with cancer.
So we help people before, during and after cancer. So we help people that we have a preventative message to actually give out, and we have an educator who goes into schools, local businesses, to community groups, to teach people signs and symptoms, what to look out for. Quite a lot of people think that there's only one sign of breast cancer when there are 9, and it's what to look out for and what to do when you find something.
People live in fear of finding something, so does that mean that still detecting it and getting that message across that you must check and check again, that still remains a really hard task for you?
It is, but also it's once you find something that's not common to you, something that's different to you. So it's about being body aware. So if you actually look at your body today and you look at it in a few weeks' time and there's something different, if you hadn't looked at it in the first place, you wouldn't be quite sure that what you saw 2 weeks later was different. So it's about being body aware. It's about understanding what you are, and we're all very different. There are some ladies, for example, that have an inverted nipple. They've always had an inverted nipple, and there's no problem. That's perfectly normal to them. There are other people that don't, and then develop one, and that's a sign that you actually need to actually just go and get it checked out. It's about understanding and doing something about it. It's about understanding who you are and what your body's like, so that when there's something different, go to your GP. Just go. That's what they're there for. That's what they want you to do. Don't just either sit on it or leave it.
And also about perhaps understanding that there isn't a typical age. There isn't a typical...
There isn't. You're quite right. It is not... Don't think that because you're a young woman that actually cancer is something that old people get. Because again, that's not the case at all. And everybody's cancer is personal to them. It's completely different to the next person's cancer. So therefore your treatment is personalised, is different. And so therefore the comparisons, because your neighbour may have had a lump and she had breast cancer, because you have a lump doesn't necessarily mean to say you've got breast cancer. So we do the preventative bit. We help people during cancer. We actually employ counsellors and also complementary therapists that actually help people whilst they're actually going through treatment, which is huge. It helps people to give them space. It gives them time for themselves. It gives them that understanding of where they're at. It's not about them being a cancer patient. We've got counsellors that can actually help them through any difficulty they may be having as well. We built the John LaVey Cancer Information Centre in 2004, which is off the oncology department at Ipswich Hospital, and that's where we have our complementary therapy and our counselling actually happens.
And how many people go through that door?
Thousands. Thousands. And also it's increasing. With the merger of Colchester Hospital, it will increase even more. So it is on the increase.
But it's not just that information centre from where you are providing help and support to families and those going through cancer. You know, you talk about your kind of wider education programme.
Yeah.
You talk about going into schools.
Yeah.
That interests me. Is that too young to be bringing the story of cancer to people, or can that story never start early enough?
We start at primary school, where we teach people about the sun. So it's about sun protection, sun awareness. But that's not talking about cancer, that's about just talking about them being aware of the sun. And you'd be surprised, at many primary schools, it will be the children that tell you, Nana's got cancer. Does that mean they have a concern about cancer, even as young as 4 and 5, that we can easily dismiss, we can put their minds at rest. So we talk about the sun and the dangers of the sun, the dangers about being burnt in the sun, common sense stuff. So we do that with the littlies, and then we actually go up the scale. And for me, if we can give some knowledge and confidence to youngsters as they're coming out of school and going to university, living away from home, to be able to feel confident in making decisions to go and see a doctor, I think that we're a credit to Suffolk. To be perfectly honest.
So here's an interesting thing. You're taking the message to very young people.
Yeah.
I can go back just a couple of decades and say, I didn't know what cancer was when I was young. I didn't have grandparents that were going through cancer that I was aware of at that age. So, is it true that far more people in society are suffering from cancer and experiencing cancer? Or is this there is more knowledge about it, so it's discussed more, so therefore statistics report that more people are going through cancer?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Right.
I think that there's definitely an increase in people talking about cancer, and we encourage that. I mean, that is it's something we don't want it to be behind closed doors. We don't want it to be something that people fear so much that they won't do something about it. So if you bring it out into the open, it's much easier to be able to tell people when you have cancer. We can't take away the fear. We can try. We have got more survivors of cancer today than we have ever had. And that's about an early diagnosis. That's about people getting there early. It's about being treated early, less invasive surgery, more successful treatment. It's when people leave it. It's when we get the ostrich syndrome. I mean, we think that we've probably touched about 29,000 people with a workshop that actually has given them some instruction on cancer, so some information on cancer. And we're always there and free for people to ask questions later. We've got some amazing prostheses that we actually use to teach young girls how to do a proper breast check and to teach them actually how to do testicular checking too. And we give the boys the breast vest and the girls the testicles, and we actually get them to do it. Because if you're in a relationship, please be responsible, and if you find something, don't joke about it, do something about it.
Right, so it's about kind of saying, my parent, my partner, I can help them.
Absolutely.
Is the internet a blessing or a curse to someone like
a bit
doing the work that you do?
Yeah,
you know?
because it terrifies people. And also you don't just read the little bit that you want for now, you read the whole lot. And so we all put ourselves in the worst possible situation. So it's scary. And so that's where you need to go and see a doctor. Just ask the question.
There is that embarrassment and that personal humiliation.
Yes, yeah, every time. And it's trying to get people to understand that there is nothing wrong with it. And I say to people, write it down. Just write it down on a little piece of paper, the things that you actually want to tell your doctor. And then when you go, if you're too embarrassed, just give him the piece of paper. They can read. Give them the piece of paper, and let them then talk to you about it.
I'd like to pick up very specifically about women that go through a cancer journey, and something you're doing around identity for women in particular. So talk to me about wigs.
Right.
We know where women suffer hair loss. A lot of us talk about our hair as, crowning glory.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. And so we do, so the before, during and after, we actually help people, and we have, and it's all about you, which is a beauty and wig workshops that we actually do. So we do them in the West, we do them in the East as well. It's very much about women's image. It's about giving them some self-confidence. It's about giving them their self-esteem back. Having a cancer diagnosis is very much about everybody else telling you what you should do, when you should do it. And you get on that treadmill, and it's very easy to lose some of your confidence and some of your identity when you lose your hair. And not everybody that has a cancer diagnosis or has cancer treatment loses their hair, but the vast majority of people do. And you don't just lose the hair on your head. And I've had many ladies say to me, Karen, I've got a real problem. Okay, fine, how can I help? I've lost the hair on my head, I've lost it up my nostrils, I've lost it underneath my armpits, and I've lost it in personal areas too. Why hasn't it gone on my legs? The only place I shave regularly. Why hasn't it gone there? And really, it's how your body reacts to the treatment that you have. And for some people, it works differently to others. Hair loss is massive. It's psychologically, it takes away. It is the first time you will admit to the world that you're poor. You can go and have surgery. You can put clothes back on over surgery. But once you lose your hair, and people look at you different, they treat you different. One lady said to me, "Why is it I've lost my hair? Everybody wants to cuddle me. Why is that?"
Interesting.
And I said, because they don't know what else to do. They want to comfort you. She said, but I don't need comfort. And I said, that's our inadequacies for people that don't have a cancer diagnosis, because we don't know what to do. And actually, it's just be a friend, just be there. Right. But people with cancer don't always want to talk about cancer. They don't. So we have a workshop, and the workshop can be anything between 4 and 8 women. And it is very much, it does what it says on the can, it is about them. It's about how they want to go through the morning. So we make sure there's lots of coffee and cakes and that kind of stuff, and it's a real indulgent morning. So I run the workshops. We have some of the best cosmetics that I could find. We use all organic skincare, and the reason for the cosmetics is women's pallor will change, so the colouring will change as they're going through treatment. And it's to actually give them a natural look. It's to show them how to draw their eyebrows back on.
Right.
And your eyebrows frame your face. And actually, in some respects, more so than hair. So you can put a scarf on, and your eyebrows, and you're ready for the day. It doesn't necessarily have to be a wig. And really, some of the reason for actually covering your head is it gets cold. It's very much about teaching them how to do those kind of things, and teaching them rather than pampering them. We could pamper them all morning, and then they would leave, and then they would actually be at home 2 weeks later and can't remember what we did for them.
So is that in part you saying, trying to make sure that you don't treat somebody going through cancer as a victim?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's unfair. I think that's really unfair. We're all just people, and I think that no matter what we've got, that just because you've lost your hair shouldn't be that overcrowding of sympathy and the overcrowding. It becomes, from the people that I've spoken to, it becomes untenable for them. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to handle other people's misunderstanding of where they're at. We try and actually get the ladies together to have some fun, just to break with the routine, and to actually leave them. Anybody that comes in that's a little unsure usually bounces out. So we've had people so our youngest has been 14, and our oldest has actually been in late 80s. And people that have never worn cosmetics before, that have actually come in and actually felt fabulous by the time they've left. So the cosmetics that we use are actually paraben-free, petrochemical-free, talc-free, and all organic as far as their skincares. So we've managed to select the best that we possibly could. And
have you got a sort of team of suppliers that help you with that, or is it something that the charity sources?
Correct. So there is a national charity that actually does this, but they wouldn't come to Suffolk. So we raised enough money to do it ourselves, and we do it in a completely different way. We're far more relaxed about the way that we actually do it, and it is very much about the audience that we have on the day. So we put several £1,000s of cosmetics out on a table, and we play. I've done now very nearly over 300 women. In June, I had a lovely young lady who was there, who actually just said, "Thank you, you've reminded me that I'm a woman again and I can be beautiful. I leave here with a smile on my face and it will last me all weekend." I feel very honoured to be able to actually stand there and actually help these ladies.
Yeah, and that really comes across from you. And so I'm quite interested to know how you found yourself into this world of helping people through their cancer journey in this way, and how much that had it been part of your own backstory.
No, I've never suffered from cancer, which is going to touch lots of wood. So I've always been in a career where I've helped people. So before,
consciously?
No, not at all. No, just one of those things. It just fitted. It was just like putting an old pair of gloves on, really, for me. It was very much. So I used to work for a national charity, and a national charity that was affiliated to the BBC. And that took me to BBC Radio Suffolk, where I'd actually been there as a volunteer. I consciously retired to have children, to give my children everything I could give them before they actually went to school. So they went to school, and when our daughter went to school, then that was when I actually went and did some volunteering work, and then I actually was employed by the national charity. And the national charity affiliated with the BBC, and the action desks that were on BBC Radio Suffolk was where I used to work.
How did somebody come knocking on the door about a cancer campaign?
A strange man with a telephone call actually invited me to lunch. I don't normally take sort of calls like that, but on this occasion I don't know why it felt right to do it. And the then Chair of Trustees, who's now still the Chair of Trustees, Jonathan Rittman, invited me to take over the charity. John LeVay had sadly died. Their fundraiser that had actually been working her socks off wanted to retire, and he said, "Here's my charity. What would you like to do with it?"
Karen, I'd be really interested to know if you could magic something into being over the next decade, what would be the big differences you would want to see in education around cancer, particularly for women, and changes that you would want to see take shape?
I think that there is a need for people living after cancer. So if we've got more survivors of cancer, there will be some side effects. There will be some psychological side effects. There will be some physical side effects for people. And I think that those people shouldn't have to go back to the NHS for small things that they may want. There needs to be somewhere else. There needs to be some place that they feel safe, some place where they can actually get help. For us, we're incredibly ambitious, so we would actually like to actually meet a philanthropist that would actually support us, to be able to grow, to be able to do what we do, but actually do it in a much more accessible place and do everything under one roof. So people's body will change. So some people may put on lots of weight, some people may lose quite a lot of weight. So therefore their wardrobe that they've actually got is actually null and void. It just doesn't work for them. So what do you do about that? Because that's a huge expense. But what do you do about it? Well, actually, people make do. It's about showing them and just holding their hand that it's all right.
Yeah.
That you can actually there are clothes about that you can actually look fabulous in.
As you say, a very personal journey.
Yes. However we can help, we will help. As long as we've got the money, we'll do projects. We don't do projects without money, because what I don't want to do is raise people's expectations, because that's not fair. So, and what we do is we actually do it for the personally. So that's why the wig, we felt, and we had been told by patients many times, that there was only one supplier of wigs in Suffolk, and they felt that that was unfair. They wanted to have a choice. So we actually took that and we investigated that. We managed to get some funding. To be able to get that funding meant that we could actually add on and expand our It's All About You workshops, and we could incorporate the wig workshop too. So we can give people some information about what happens to your hair, why does your hair fall out, when does it grow back, what can you do with it when it grows back. It could take 2 years for your eyebrows to grow back, which is a long time.
Yeah.
And they might not grow back as they were before. Your hair, when it grows back, is very downy and very soft. For some people it'll come back curly. They've never had curly hair before, and it's a bit of a, ooh, where did that come from? The colour of your hair could change. So you could come back, you could have been sort of my colour, sort of mousy brown, and then you could actually come back white. You could come back grey. So it's all these phenomenons that actually people want to understand, and rather than it being a shock to them, to actually help them with it. So we decided that we would do a selection of wigs, and our selection of wigs have been selected as human hair wigs. The reason for that is severalfold. The quality of the wigs are very good. The fact that you can actually blow dry them, you can straighten them, you can actually curl them, you can colour them, you can do what you do with your normal hair, to me was very important. You can still go to your hairdresser. Now for some ladies that is a very much institution that they actually they sort of mark their calendar off. To actually take that away from somebody, you can't do that anymore because you don't have any hair, I think is unnecessary. So if you've got a human hair wig, you can actually go there, and I say to the ladies, you can go, they can style your hair. So it gives them, they don't have to give up everything. I think that quite a lot of ladies that I speak to, they give up so much, and they try and take it all on themselves to protect everybody else. And that's when your women, and no disrespect to men at all, tend to be the prime givers. It is very difficult to actually accept to be given, and it is and so they still try and be the one that actually gives all the time. And actually, it's a time for them to actually pull back and allow people to help them. If you have a friend that's actually got cancer, one of the best things that you can do is drop a lasagna on her doorstep if she doesn't want to see people, so that she doesn't have to worry about supper that night. fill a freezer up with supper things that, you know, and lots of people say, well, the husband can do it. Well, yeah, it can, but do you know what? It's really hard for him as well. He doesn't know what to say. Whatever he says, he doesn't think is right. They might get upset and they don't mean to get upset. So it just helps. It just relieves it. You know, a pair of woolly socks, some soft, gorgeously soft sort of cashmere socks, something like that, to actually put on their feet because their extremities get cold, and a blanket or a nice sort of pashmina, something that they can wrap themselves in. And if you bought it as a friend, it's like giving them a cuddle when you're not there. It helps.
Thank you so much, Karen. That's some brilliant practical advice there and a really great insight into the work you do. So thank you.
You're welcome.